News now at this hour begins in West Africa, where Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has formally requested Senate approval for a $21.5 billion external loan alongside the issuance of domestic bonds totaling 758 billion naira. Now, the president says the funds will be directed towards critical national projects, including infrastructure development, healthcare, education and water supply in a bid to stimulate growth and address long-standing deficits. The request was read during Tuesday's plenary session and has since been forwarded to the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts. Lawmakers expect to receive a detailed report on the proposal within 2 weeks. In a separate letter, President Tinubu also sought Senate authorization for the issuance of federal government bonds worth 757.9 billion naira in the domestic market. The money, according to the president, is specifically earmarked to clear outstanding pension liabilities under the contributory pension scheme. Now, both proposals now head for legislative scrutiny amid ongoing concerns over Nigeria's rising debt burden and the urgency of reviving the country's struggling economy.
The House of Representatives is invited to note that the 2025-2026 borrowing plan cut across all sectors with specific emphasis on infrastructure, agriculture, health, education, water supply, growth, security and employment generation, as well as financial management reforms, among others. Total facility of the project and programs under the borrowing rolling plan is United States dollars 21,543,647,912, and also 2 billion euro, 2,193,856,324.54 euro, and in Japanese yen, 15 billion yen, and grant of 65 million respectively, and the summary of the breakdown is attached.
Now, to speak more on this, we're joined by Oladipo Ajayi, Head Fixed Income and FX Chapel Hill Denim. Thank you so much for joining us on the news, Oladipo. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on this morning.
Now, Oladipo, which key sectors are prioritized in President Tinubu's $21.5 billion external borrowing proposal? And, talking about the sectors, which of these sectors are expected to contribute to economic growth?
Well, I think firstly, I'll pick the infrastructural investments into rail and road. And I feel that will open up the economy because if you look at it critically, a lot of farmers up the north, they are finding it very difficult to actually transport their goods to the south. And that's been a major problem. And that has also increased the prices of food production. So I will pick infrastructure in the line of the land and the rail system. Also, I'll pick the agricultural sector. That's also very fascinating. In such a time when food pricing is actually going gaga, I think that the government also needs to invest aggressively into this sector. They need to actually empower farmers to go beyond subsistence farming into more like a large-scale farming so as to be able to cater for the need of Nigerians and also cater beyond the consumption of Nigeria, even to the extent that we can now export to other African countries or beyond African border. Another one that comes to mind is security. And if you look at what has been happening in the last weeks, I think there's been a lot of pressure on the security guys in fighting insurgents, finding bandits and the likes. So I think the government needs to actually empower them the more. And because the earlier you win the war, the better for the government and the better for the people. And like we mentioned earlier on, the farmers, they are finding, some of them are still finding it very difficult to access their farm.
Yeah.
farmland, and all because of the insecurities. So I feel the government can invest aggressively into these. They will be able to quash this in good time and be able to actually put the economy in the right direction. So also, we also need to look at the health sector as well. There's a lot of health tourism that has been happening. A lot of Nigerians traveling abroad for medical tourism, and don't also forget that this has been one of the highest drainer of FX, because when you look at the invisible window, you notice is people that are actually traveling for vacation, people that are paying school fees, and also people that are going on medical tourism. And I think that if the government can actually invest aggressively into this, into the medical sector, I think that this will actually, to a great extent, reduce the pressure on FX demand, and at the same time, make Nigeria also destination for people looking for medical tourism. Because when you look at the currency now, it means that they give room for importation, for exportation of service and product. So it means that we can actually export this service for other people maybe in African countries to actually come to Nigeria for medical tourism. So this will also
do you think that this new borrowing initiative, Oladipo, would be more effective, when it comes to addressing Nigeria's infrastructure deficit compared to previous efforts?
Well, I think it's about the intention and how deliberate the current government is about actually creating this thing. And I think what marked my mind personally is that I will take a clue from the 700 kilometer Lagos-Calabar road. And when they first announced it, a lot of people just felt that it's just one of those projects, white elephant projects that government will announce without any backing, and in no time we will just buy a silent debt. But with what we have seen happening in Lagos, we have seen that close to about 30 kilometers has been completed. And the president is also looking to actually flag off the second section of it. And at this time now, there will be simultaneous construction across other outlets of this project. So it makes sense that if a government is actually deliberate about some of these things, they can actually achieve. So I feel that it looks as if this current government is actually deliberate about some of the projects. They also mentioned about the Badagry to Sokoto road, and also work has started already on that particular axis as well. So I feel that it seems as if the government look serious, but they also need the resources to be able to actually actualize some of these dreams.
Now let's look at the current context of, fuel subsidy removal and decline in revenue. Would you say that the timing of this borrowing plan is strategically sound, or is it potentially risky?
Well, we will not say the Nigerian revenue has dropped because when you look at our revenue for last year, we did over 21 trillion in terms of revenue last year. And when you compare it to what we did in 2023, it's almost like 100% higher than what we did in 2023. And I think the subsidy removal, what the government just gained from that is that, before them, it's not that we have that revenue to actually meet the subsidy obligation. It was just that we need to borrow to actually fund that particular obligation. But what the government is trying to do is that since you have removed subsidy, we can now borrow for infrastructural development, and that's exactly what the government is doing. So I get the angle that does this sound risky to me? Of course, to a great extent, because when you're looking at 21.5 billion, and when you look at our total external debt as we speak is about 45.78 billion thereabout. So it means that we are increasing our external debt by close to about 50%. But the solace is that what are we really using it for? If it's for infrastructural development, if it's for to develop the health sector, if it's for to improve educational standards, if it's to create infrastructural development, if it's to actually boost the agricultural sector, it makes a lot of sense than actually borrowing such huge fund and actually use it to actually pay for subsidy, either in terms of fuel subsidy or electricity subsidy. So I feel it's better for us to borrow for infrastructure that for us to borrow for consumption. And what would now come after that is the development, the infrastructure development will further boost the revenue generating capacity of the government. So it means that if you create an enabling environment, businesses will thrive. When businesses thrive, you have more taxes that will come in form of revenue to the government in this. So you increase the government capacity to actually meet the obligation. If you actually create a sane environment, it will attract foreign investors. It will attract foreign portfolio investors. It will attract foreign direct investment. This also will also help you to actually stabilize the volatile FX system and also helps you to actually be able to plan. So when you look at it from that perspective, it sounds laudable. But just my concern is the fact that the government needs to be extremely committed to this. We need to ensure that government are accountable to some of these projects. Government should
give concerns as well about the potential macroeconomic implications of securing loans, especially in multiple currencies like the US dollar, the euro, and the Japanese yen.
The challenge is the fact that if we don't make use of the fund very well, the implication is that the danger awaits us in the future. Because this fund, they are actually foreign currency, and it simply means that we're exposed to exchange rate volatility. I imagine in 2007, if we have borrowed $1 million in 2007, when the exchange rate was about 170 naira, now compare it to now, assuming you are now redeeming it now, you can have an idea of how much you are going to pay to actually redeem the amount you actually collected in 2007. So, but what the government can do is to ensure that this fund are heavily deployed, and also they make consistent provision for some of these obligations. And Nigeria is not totally exposed like that because one thing, we are also FX generating country, and we also have enough opportunity to actually tap more resources so as to be able to improve our FX generating capacity. Like I mentioned earlier on, the agricultural sector, we can actually improve production in that aspect to actually export to neighboring countries or outside the world. What that will mean to us is more FX generating capacity. We can also unlock the resources in the mining sector, and that also will improve our FX generating capacity. And also the service sectors as well is also one big earner of FX for Nigeria. The government can also improve the activity in this sector as well, so as to actually increase our FX generating capacity. If we can actually do this, it will make it easier for us to actually meet some of these obligations in the future, and that will reduce the danger that could be waiting for us in the future.
Oladikbo, thank you so much for your time and also for speaking to us on this. We sincerely apologize for the technical glitch. Now, the trial of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, resumed today at the Federal High Court in Abuja, marked by fresh developments and intense courtroom drama. Now, a key prosecution witness, identified only by the codename Triple C and said to be an operative of the Department of State Services, DSS, testified that he personally conducted Kanu's interrogation in 2015. He told the court that Kanu voluntarily gave a written statement at the time. But tensions quickly rose in court as Kanu, through his legal team, contested the admissibility of that statement, alleging it was obtained under duress. The IPOB leader claimed he was subjected to threats, denied access to legal counsel, and held in inhumane conditions during his detention. In response to the allegations, Presiding Judge Justice James Omotosho ordered a trial within a trial, a legal procedure to determine whether Kanu's statement was indeed made voluntarily or under coercion. The case is expected to continue in the coming days as the court examines the circumstances surrounding the disputed confession. Now let's turn our attention to political matters, where the controversy over the position of the National Secretary in the People's Democratic Party remains unresolved, as the party's National Executive Committee says a final decision will be taken at its next meeting slated for June 30. Addressing journalists at the conclusion of the 99th NEC meeting held in Abuja, the acting national chairman of the party, Umar Iliya Damagum, said the NEC received an adoption of the resolution from the Southeast Zonal Executive Committee on the disputed office but deferred final action. Meanwhile, the NEC ratified the composition of key committees ahead of the party's national convention. Bayelsa State Governor Douye Diri will chair the zoning committee for national offices. He will be supported by Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal as vice chairman and Plateau State Governor Mutfwang as secretary.
NEC also received and ratified the composition of the committee on the zoning of national offices ahead of the national convention. The members of these zoning committees are Governor Diri, Chairman, Governor Dauda Lawal, Vice Chairman, and Mutfwang, Secretary. That's the zoning committee. The members of the National Convention Committee are Governor Umar, Chairman, Governor Ademola Diri, Vice Chairman, and Governor Peter Umar, Secretary. Next also received the resolution of the Southeast Zonal Executive with regard to the issue of the National Secretary and to be considered and deliberate upon in the next NEC, which is slated for 30th June. NEC reassures Nigerians that the PDP remains strong, resilient, united, and determined now, more than ever before, in leading the charge to rescue our nation from the vicious belief of APC administration. Thank you.
In the meantime, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, Olabode George, has cautioned the party against further crisis, calling all aggrieved party members to sheath their swords and ensure they work together to reclaim the seat of power in Aso Rock come 2027. Bode George, a member of BOT of trustee of the party, who was speaking on News Central's Tonight on Monday, blamed key stakeholders of the party, including the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, for what he called disrespect to the party that gave them tickets at various times and made them what they are today. The elder statesman, who dismissed the coalition plan ahead of 2027, believes the challenges within the PDP are surmountable, thus rallying everyone within the party to unite and form a credible and formidable opposition.
What happened today was a measure of the largeness, the capacity, the true Iroko party of this country, a party that has from the north to the south, from the west to the east, people who have experience in national management, which is absolutely lacking now. We made a slip, no doubt about it. We made a mistake. You know, people manipulated the presidential primaries, and that is what landed us where we are. And I can tell you, today has been a rebirth of the real political Iroko party in Nigeria. The only political party that has a structure everywhere. And I dare the APC to tell me if they have the same structure that we have. They may be in government now, but time will tell.
Now let's go back to the story on alleged terrorism trial of Nnamdi Kanu, which was marked by fresh developments and also courtroom drama, where we have our news correspondent Joshua Marai on standby to give us an update. Hello, Joshua. Thank you for joining us. Can you walk us through how the court arrived at the decision to hold a trial within a trial in this case?
Well, like you said earlier, the trial commenced with proceedings and the prosecuting counsel bringing forward the third prosecution witness, that is the person of people C, who says he has been with the DSS for the past 27 years. DSS, the agent who is testifying as a witness before the court, recounted before the court that his first meeting with Nnamdi Kanu was far back in 2015. Here, he was in charge of the interrogation with two other officers. Well, according to what he said in court, he said he obtained video statements as well as written statements on two different days, one on the 21st of October 2015 and the other on the 23rd of October. He moved the prosecuting counsel, that's the person of Douye, moved to present the document before the court, whereby however, it was met by an objection from the defense counsel, that is the person representing Nnamdi Kanu. He told the court that Nnamdi Kanu, through his counsel, told the court that his client was forced and coerced to make those statements. The judge, however, asked the counsel representing Nnamdi Kanu to confer with his client to provide evidence or to provide grounds on which that particular statement was collected with duress. Nnamdi Kanu went ahead to say that he requested for a lawyer, but the DSS denied him one. He went ahead to say that he was interrogated by one Mr. Brown and not the person speaking in the witness box. He also said that he was threatened with loss of airtime because he said he was placed in a dungeon and was entitled to just 1 hour airtime every day. He said that the DSS witness, who is in court currently, told him that if he doesn't write what they want, that he's going to be denied that 1 hour airtime out of 24 hours. He also said that during the time of giving those testimonies, he was actually bleeding. Well, the court, looking at it, moves forward to go into a trial within trial to ascertain if the statement collected from Nnamdi Kanu in October 2015 was collected under duress or not. So they went forward to the trial in between trial, and that same particular witness, that is Triple C, was now admitted as a trial within trial witness. And what he said was that what the witness, that is the person, the agent of the DSS, said that he denied knowing anyone named Mr. Brown, saying that he actually conducted the interview and interrogation with two officers, namely James and Collins. He claimed that Kanu made no request of any lawyer of any sort, only wanted rest, and he said that Kanu was not placed in any form of solitary confinement, that he was even offered water in the process of that interview. He also said that there were videos pointing to the fact that Kanu was not maltreated in any way and that those claims were business. However, these are the few things that have emanated from the courtroom. We hope to give you more updates as the court proceedings continue.
Absolutely, Joshua. Thank you so much for this. Now, moving away from that, President of the Nigerian Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has called on Nigerian children to stay away from social vices and uphold values that promote the image of the country. He made the remarks after a motion by the senator representing the Federal Capital Territory, Ireti Kingibe, who emphasized the importance of improving the welfare and protection of children across the country.
The day's activities began outside the chambers, where the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, led members of the upper legislative chamber through a welcoming crowd of school children ahead of the plenary session. During plenary, Senator Ireti Kingibe raised a motion highlighting the urgent need to reaffirm national commitment to the protection, education and development of children.
Introduce and implement National Skills for Children initiative targeting basic ICT literacy, craft entrepreneurship, creative arts, and problem-solving skills starting from primary schools.
In a symbolic gesture, the Senate suspended Order 12 of its rules to allow the children access the hallowed chambers. To observe the session, Senate President Akpabio described children as the leaders of tomorrow and reaffirmed the commitment of the National Assembly to enact laws that ensure the protection and well-being of every Nigerian child.
We urge you to dream big, work hard, and never give up on your aspirations. Our prayer is that you will not relate with other children who are into vices such as drugs, so that it will not lead you into criminality and will cut short your lives. So we want you to grow up to become great leaders of tomorrow. That is our prayer for you. Can you all shout amen?
In response, a representative of the visiting students expressed gratitude to the Senate for the opportunity to witness the legislative proceedings firsthand.
We, the Nigerian children, wish to thank Your Excellency most sincerely for providing the resources and unveiling us the opportunity to participate with my fellow uncommon children to celebrate this year's Children's Day Fund Fest celebration in the National Assembly.
The lawmakers called on parents, educators, and government agencies, among other stakeholders, to renew their commitment to building a safer and more inclusive society for every Nigerian child. In Abuja for News Central, Sagir Bryan.
As students in Edo State mark the World Children's Day, the state governor, Monday Okpewolo, has tasked children of school age to shun cultism, saying that it will destroy their future. Now, the governor, during the Children's Day ceremony at the Sam Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City, reaffirmed his administration's zero-tolerance policy towards cultism and urged students across the state to reject the lure of cult groups, saying that they are a recipe for disaster. Amadine Uyi compiled this report.
Governor Monday Okpewolo had attended a ceremony amidst cheers from students and supporters at the Sam Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City. Primary and secondary school students then took to the track for a march-past ceremony representing their schools. Some of the students commended the governor for his dedication to improving the lot of students in the state.
I would like to use this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude for your relentless commitment to the welfare and protection of children across Edo State.
The Commissioner for Education, Paddy Emmanuel, assured the students of the state government's commitment to protecting their well-being in the light of the Global Children's Day celebration.
This year's team, both national and state, are particularly timely. The national team stand up, speak up, building a bullying, free generation calls us to action against a silent yet dangerous threat to our children's well-being.
Governor Okpewolo then used the occasion to give two outstanding students of the state the sum of 5 million naira each for excelling in national competitions and making the state proud. He then urged students to shun cultism, saying that his administration will continue to maintain a zero-tolerance policy towards the vice.
I also want to remind you from my heart to always choose the right path. Say no to cultism and anything that can harm your future. You are too special to waste your potentials. Your safety and well-being matters to us, and we are committed to protecting your dreams.
The final of the Governor's Cup football match among secondary schools in the state was then held. The governor then handed over significant prizes to outstanding schools and students to support educational and sporting excellence.
Away from that, the challenges women in middle and low-income countries face in ensuring proper menstrual hygiene management, especially in purchasing sanitary materials due to its high cost and unaffordability, is dominating discussions during the 2025 Menstrual Health Awareness Day, marked on May the 28th yearly. To address this gap, a women's health initiative, Hope for Her Foundation, is training women and young girls to make reusable, biodegradable, non-toxin and economically viable sanitary materials. This is to help them effect proper menstrual hygiene and eradicate period poverty in the Gwagwa community of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. News Central correspondent Aishat Salihu reports.
For many girls and women in Gwagwa community of the FCT, menstruation is associated with the inability to purchase sanitary pads for use because of its high cost. Poor menstrual hygiene management for these women is also compounded by the poor quality of information on how to manage periods effectively and economically. Women rights advocates believe that efforts must be put in place at all levels to ease the challenges that come with menstruation, especially among young girls.
Like most of the girls here don't have knowledge on proper hygiene, how to take care of yourself down there, and that's a very big challenge.
Nobody is care about their hygiene. Nobody is caring about their psychological situation during that very critical period during the month. And also this can affect the future of them as mothers and as also family career.
To curb period poverty, save costs, empower women economically, and promote their menstrual health, the opinion of making reusable pads is now underway through a workshop for the women in this community.
We're teaching them how to make these pads. So when they run out of the ones we give them, they're able to make for themselves. And this is a community, so there's communal living. You can teach your kids, you can teach your cousins, you can teach your neighbor, and you can also even empower yourself by using it as a means of business, a small business, make reusable pads, sell.
Economically, it will go a long way in, I think they will save their money. Instead of buying this pad, they will use it to do another thing. My people used to say that instead of giving them fish, you now teach them how to fish.
While many believe that sanitary and menstrual hygiene facilities should be put in school environments to help girls manage menstruation, they say it will end periods of missing school and in turn help them achieve their full potential.
But by the time they have learned how to stitch a pad, they can pad themselves perfectly, conveniently. They can play ball, they can dance, they can do school activities.
I now know how to sew a pad and use it and reuse it, so it's sufficient for me.
Over the years, the challenge of the lack of access to sanitary pads due to its high cost has hampered women's menstrual hygiene management. However, with the women of Gwagwa community now receiving training on making reusable sanitary pads, it is believed that the challenge of cost will now be a thing of the past, paving the way for proper management of their menstruation. In Abuja, for News Central, Aishat Salihu.
Now to speak more on this, we're joined by Dr. Kosi Achara, a medical doctor and public health practitioner. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Achara, on the news.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, can you speak to us on the long-term health implications for women and girls who are unable to access affordable and hygienic menstrual products in low and middle-income countries?
Yeah, so these, like we saw in the video that had just passed, these products that they're teaching women to make using disposable materials, but reusable materials like cloth, and also in some cases menstrual cups. They are very sustainable, and they are things that we are advocating for women to start using, especially given the rising cost of living in Nigeria. But at the long term, these products could cause more harm than good, in the sense that the gap that needs to be filled is education. Empowering these women with education to be able to take care of themselves, hygienically use these products in the sense of ability to take care of it, washing it, drying it appropriately, the frequency of use. Closing this gap in education would go a long way making these solutions more sustainable in Nigeria, especially. Girls that are unable to make use of these products hygienically are prone to so many infections, as much as you can think of, emanating from down there, as the lady in the video previously said. They are open to infections, which can affect their reproductive tracts, on the long term can affect infertility, or fertility can give rise to fertility issues, and things like that. Generally, women who are unable to access sanitary or sanitable products, or who do not know how to handle or take care of these other reusable products, are prone to having these infections. They are prone to eventually having fertility issues if not properly taken care of.
Tara, now speaking of sustainability, how effective and safe are these reusable, biodegradable sanitary materials in comparison to the conventional disposable products, that we know of?
Say that again?
I'm asking how, you talked about sustainability, so I'm asking how effective and safe are the reusable, biodegradable sanitary materials, compared to conventional disposable products?
They are very effective, they do the things that they are supposed to do if used properly, like I was saying. The gap that just needs to be filled is empowering these females in the community with appropriate education to be able to take care of themselves while this is being utilized. They are effective. They will be able to give the woman the comfort that she needs during these 5 days or 5 to 7 days, in some cases 3 days period of menstruation. So they are sustainable, they are effective, but then the gap that needs to be filled is education, which is what these grassroots advocacy groups and NGOs are trying to fill by educating these women and empowering them with education.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Achara.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure. Well, the news resumes after the break. Stay with us. President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Lagos ahead of the 50th anniversary celebration of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. Now, the president is set to host fellow ECOWAS heads of state and government on Wednesday at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs and the Eco Hotels and Suites as the regional bloc marks its Golden Jubilee, which began last month in Accra, Ghana. One of the highlights of the Lagos event will be reenactment of the historic 1975 ECOWAS declaration at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Victoria Island. Also in attendance will be the only surviving head of state who signed the original declaration, General Yakubu Gowon, retired. Now, the former leader is expected to take part in all ceremonies and deliver a keynote address at Eco Hotels. While in Lagos, President Tinubu will also commission several key infrastructure projects initiated by his administration. Now, these include Section 1 of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, the Lekki Deep Seaport Tax Credit Concrete Road, and the 7th Axial Road. He will also flag off Section 2 of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. In addition, the president will commission Section 2 of the Kano, Kanwar, Denja, Hadeja Road, the Yakase Zali Road, and virtually launch the Kano Northern Bypass, among other projects. Now we have News Central's lead correspondent, Bernard Akede, joining us live from the venue of the event. Thank you for joining, Bernard. Could you tell us what's going on at the moment where you are?
All right, thank you for having me, Dashan. At the moment, I'm live at Eco Hotel and Suites, like you mentioned earlier. The music you're hearing from the background is being played by officers of the Nigerian Army Band. The actual event has already taken place, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's just ended at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, NIIA, a few kilometers from where I am. And there's been some conversations there concerning ECOWAS at 50, like you rightly mentioned. Here in Eco Hotel is going to be the ceremony, and there will be some keynote addresses, there will be some speeches, and we're expecting to hear from, like you mentioned, the only surviving signatory to that 1975 declaration, and that's talking about retired General Yakubu Gowon. Of all of the countries that put their signature to that declaration, he's the only one who still remains alive. Coincidentally, he was the president of Nigeria back then, and now ECOWAS is being chaired also by Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So you can can see that Nigeria is playing a huge role. I'll wrap this question up by explaining to you some of the countries that signed that declaration and how different things are now. As at that 1975, when the declaration was signed, we had countries like Benin Republic, Burkina Faso, then was called Upper Volta. We have Cote d'Ivoire, Gambia, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mali, Mauritius, Niger, Nigeria, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and Togo, all putting their signature to that declaration. Now the ECOWAS has grown larger after 50 years, and I believe it is worth celebrating.
All right, Bernard, we'll let you go back to it. Thank you so much for that update, by the way. Well, that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. We told you that President Tinubu seeks Senate approval for $21.5 billion loan, 758 billion naira bond to fund key projects. We also told you that PDP chieftain Bode George insists party remains the most viable opposition ahead 2027 polls. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And do follow us on social media as well. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.